Hey, it's Day. If you're new here, you've probably found me either through my shorts animatics or you have found me through my JJK animatics. And if you know me already, you probably came from my other channel, which is Day Reads Manga. Welcome. I'm excited to start a whole new channel this year with you guys, and I hope that we can get back into the groove of our art channel here, and I hope to create art videos for y'all to enjoy this year. Now, let's not get too ahead of myself and start talking about my New Year's resolutions right from the get-go. Let me introduce myself first. Hi, I'm Day, and I like drawing, and along with drawing, I also like anime, manga, manhwa, webtoon, all of the above, novels. Anything with a narrative, I eat up. I also really like video editing and talking my head off, hence here we are. Just a little bit about this drawing too. I drew this last year actually, December 2024. It was inspired by the character Cardin from the Cruel Prince novel or the Folk of Air series, and he's basically a fae. And for those who are not familiar, fae is sort of like magical creatures. I don't know how to explain it. I just got into like fae type of stories, and Cardin here is probably part an animal. He has a tail, he has pointy ears, he's magical, he's royalty, and as you can tell from the title, he's a cruel prince. Yeah, so this series has kind of been my current hyperfixation right now. It's pulled me back into novel reading, and I never would have thought that that would be like the first thing I check off this 2025. So much so that I low-key kind of want to make a booktubing channel. But I have to calm down and not bite off too much that I choke on the bone. Or in other words, not rush myself and go ahead and like work on like 3 channels at a time. And we'll focus on this channel first. As a result, you guys will probably hear me talk about some of my obsessions, novel reading wise, once in a while, since, you know, I kind of need an outlet for that. And that's why I'm talking about the Cruel Prince right now. I swear, I just need to talk about this book in this book series. Before we get there though, let me talk a little bit about the art piece itself. I think my art style have been pretty solidified lately, of kind of like very anime-ish, but also the proportions of like eyes to head, like the eyes are quite big and the head is, how do I explain it? Kind of like not very realistic, not very like ikemen, right? For a while, I've been rejecting that art style of mine actually, because I kind of want to draw ikemen. And for those who don't know what ikemen are, they're like conventionally attractive anime characters, and for that art style usually the proportions of eyes are more realistic, so the eyes are a lot smaller on the face and they have kind of some semblance of realism behind them. But I just accepted at this point that my hands will not naturally draw in that style. I can force myself. I definitely have pieces in ikemen style, but those will take like twice as long to draw, and it doesn't feel very real to my hands as well, or to like my own art. So I can't really force that art style anymore. I've come to acceptance with it. But surprisingly enough, even drawing in this style, I ended up really liking the drawing that I did for Cardin here. Cardin is the guy that I'm drawing, by the way. If you keep hearing me say Cardin, it's this character, it's this fae. He's been brain rotting my head like the past month or so. And on top of my like line art style kind of solidifying, my rendering art style is also solidifying. Drawing the hair for Cardin was so easy to me. Usually hair takes me the most like pain and suffering. Like I always over render hair to the point like I just give up on it at some point. But with this hair, because this is probably like my 4th drawing that I drew in this style of rendering, it was pretty smooth. I was just like, I ended up really liking how it turned out. And maybe because his hair was black and I really like coloring black or rendering black in general. Maybe that's why I ended up really liking this drawing, because a lot of this drawing was black. Oh, while we're on that topic, actually, the eyes. I think the eyes are my next strife right now with my own art style. I think this has been a consistent thing that I do with, like, even with my other art pieces. If I post them later on, you'll see I always end up redoing the eyes. I never like how I do the eyes like initially on sketch, because I want it to be a little bit daintier or like a little bit more detailed, but it always ends up looking chunky in my style. It's just the way like my style is. It's a lot cartoony, it's a lot like very cutesy, but I want a little bit of gentleness where the eyes are. So that's why I redrew it like 3 times. I think this is the 3rd time that I'm redrawing it right now, but I do end up like kind of settling somewhere in between. My first redraw of it was too dainty, and then my 3rd redraw of it is sort of like, it's closer to my chunky kind of art style, but it has a little bit of like fine lines kind of incorporated in it. So I'm okay right now as to like how the eyes are looking, but maybe like in a week or so I'll look at it and I'm like, I wouldn't end up liking it, something like that. I don't know. I'm still trying to find like an eye style that I like. I think I have to like explore other rendering styles of eyes, and I just haven't done so. Like, I've explored at least the hair. The hair I'm really comfortable with. Like, I really like how I render my hair now. Now it's just the eyes. I think the eyes will be the next thing I explore in terms of like art style, in terms of rendering. And that should be easy, because you know, like, I should dedicate a day, or maybe we can dedicate a video. Who knows? I don't know. We can dedicate a video later, probably just figuring out like my eye rendering style. And honest to goodness, I think part of it is the placement of the eyes. I know it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but everyone has like their ways of like setting the facial features on the face, right? For me, it's the typical draw a circle and then draw a cross, and then like the eyes go somewhere around that cross, right? But I've seen artists take another approach with restructuring faces, so maybe I have to like study those a little bit and kind of break out of my own norm and see if that places the eyes a lot better than like what I do. Something that I haven't really talked about with you guys are my art weaknesses, and I think one of my glaring art weaknesses is probably construction. It's probably something I struggle with because it's second nature to me. Like, at this point, because I draw so much, you would think like, oh, it should just be like place eyes where you feel like it kind of thing. I should do it without guidelines, right? But I think that's my biggest downfall in terms of my art, because I've already like labeled it as second nature in my mind. I'm afraid to break out of that framework, or I'm afraid to break out of that practice, and I'm not touching upon other techniques that I could do or I could learn. So I might need to do a little bit of like breaking out of my own comfort zone for a little while with the eye placement, and then go back to like what I'm comfortable with again. That's usually what I do whenever I'm attaining a new art technique at this point in my art journey, at least, because there's some like art habits that's already built into me, that's been like already solidified in my habits, that I probably can't fully get rid of bad art habits that I have right now. But it's good to like break my muscle memory a little bit, and that's the only way I think now that I'll improve from here on out. I don't know, how about you guys? Do you guys have an art habit that you can't for some reason just get rid of? Am I the only one who struggles with this? I think because I've been an artist for a really long time, that this is probably like my #1 struggle right now. Breaking out of bad art habits and learning new ones to at least improve my technique a little bit. It's easy to be complacent when you're like really content with your art, and like, I know it's not a bad thing to be content, right? But sometimes contentedness can lead to incompetence or complacency. So I just want to like maybe avoid that. Or maybe that's just my mindset currently. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm also like trying to figure it out as I go too. Okay, so back to Cardin. At this point, I've already like rendered his skin, rendered his shirt, and I've also rendered his eyes and his hair here. I was really proud on how I rendered his clothes. I actually didn't reference specifically like a pose for this one. I just kind of winged the construction and kind of also just winged the costume. The costume design of this one is completely from my own mind as well. Like, I'm really proud of what I did with the costume design with Cardin here, based on like the novel description, where he has like raven feathers on him, and he has the crown lazily like on his head, like in a diagonal slant, kind of. Like, I based it a lot of like the book descriptions. Can you tell that I'm super obsessed with this book right now? Because usually books just blur in my mind. Like, after I read a book, I immediately forget about it. Like, I don't know, is it just a me experience, or maybe I've just never read books that good where like it gets ingrained in my mind. But the details of this book immediately ingrained in my mind, and I don't know, like, I think it might be a book I will reread too. Who knows? And at this point too, I wanted to add like a background, and I used ibispaint's like pre-made backgrounds, and I was like, okay, what's a vibe that I want to go for? And one of the backgrounds was like a night background, night in the forest background, and I really like the color palette of it. So I kind of took that color palette and made my own background. And for those who have read the book, will probably be able to guess what the background is. But if not, I mean, a lot of you probably haven't. I'll just talk about it. The background is just basically his room, and it has the shelves of books and whatnot. And it holds a significant part of the plot because Cardin is a fae, so he doesn't read books. Like, he's part of like a non-human world, right? But one of the books that he does get from the human world plays a huge role in the plot and the progression of him and our MC, our main character. So those who know will know. But yeah, anyways, that's the iconic background there. And then you can see me kind of flipping to like a grayscale version of this piece. That's just me checking my contrast, making sure that the most contrasted part of the piece is parts where I want the readers to focus on. So like, I added more contrast to the face here, and make sure that the background isn't too dark as well, so it's not taking away from the watcher's attention. And at the very end, this is the final results. How do you guys like it? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next week. This has been Day, signing out. Keep on drawing, peeps. Bye!